Welcome to the Gay Men Going Deeper podcast, a podcast by the Gay Men's Brotherhood, where we talk about everything personal development, sexuality, and mental health. Today, we are joined by Jason Samadhi. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello. So today we're going to be talking about breathwork. I am extremely excited to talk about this. I've had a lot of profound experiences with breathwork, and Jason has been part of the Gay Men's Brotherhood community for a long time now. So we are excited to have you here and for you to share your wisdom on breathwork. So Jason's going to introduce us to breathwork. We're going to go through a breathwork exercise. He's going to take us through a journey, which is going to be pretty awesome. And to give you an idea of what this podcast will entail, we're going to go through, Jason's going to talk to us a little bit about his story, how he got into this. We're going to talk about the health benefits of breath work, the science of breath, and how breath can be used to help us move energy, move emotions, connect to our authenticity, all the yummy stuff. So and then we're going to talk a bit about peak performance and sexual benefits and how breath can help us with our performance, both in and out of the bedroom. And then he's going to teach us the breathing technique that he teaches. And then we're actually going to go through a breathwork thing. He's going to take me through, well, he's going to take us through a breathwork exercise that you'll be able to keep revisiting, coming back to, and using as an opportunity to on your own healing path. Then we're going to do a meditation, and we're going to do a bit of a sharing at the end. I'll be able to share a bit about my experience, what it looked like, what it felt like to go through this. So yeah, we have a jam-packed experience for you guys today. And before we jump in, I want to just formally introduce Jason. He is a Samadhi Breath facilitator and in a
SOMA Breath.
SOMA Breath.
SOMA Breath.
He's a SOMA Breath facilitator, is a resident of Puerto Vallarta and recent transplant from Playa del Carmen, an expat from California. Jason has been living in Mexico for the last 4.5 years. While living in Mexico, Jason has experienced several ancestral plant medicines. Finally, Jason realized that the breath brought him to the most potent medicine available within each of us, which is the breath. Feeling called to share his medicine with the world, Jason became a certified SOMA Breath breathwork instructor. With breathwork, you can release pain, shame, guilt, numbness, and even ecstatic feelings of laughter, pleasure, joy, surrender, and love. And this is exactly why you're here. We want all of that.
You right?
So yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
We had an opportunity to meet in person, or I guess virtually, just last week, and the energy was really beautiful. I love our connection. It's really, really tasty, and we're very similar people, bringing similar medicine into the world. So I'm just really honored that you're taking time out of your day to come on to the podcast and share your medicine with our community.
My pleasure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Why don't you maybe start by just sharing a little bit about yourself, anything that you think is important for the audience to know about you?
Okay. Yeah. Well, you kind of covered some of the main points. I think I want to go back to sort of when I left the United States 5 years ago. I came down, started traveling with my dog, my golden retriever, and I really had no plan, no destination. I had kind of had my dark night of the soul, if you will, a couple years earlier, and sort of had explored meditation at that point. And when I got to Playa del Carmen, which kind of was a fluke, it was supposed to be, it sort of happens down here. You go for 1 week, it becomes 2, then you meet somebody, it becomes a year, you break up, you have a year of painful, woe is me, why am I having this experience, breakdown, that brought up all of that for me. It brought up my childhood traumas. It brought up my, I'm the survivor of child sexual molestation. I'm not a victim. I've not felt that way for a very long time. But that mentality stuck with me. And when we broke up, which I won't go into the details, it's not important, it triggered everything. It brought it all up. And so I was just, that first year after, my second year in Playa del Carmen, I was in a fog. I had this very vague memory of that year. I had wonderful apartment. I could hear the ocean from my apartment, strangely, and early in the morning. It was beautiful, such a blessing. But I couldn't remember most of it. And then dominoes fell into place. A friend of mine said, hey, there's this shaman. He's going to be coming through doing an ayahuasca ceremony. I tried to go the first time. Nothing worked. And in fact, I was on my way down to Belize for what we call a border run. My 6 months or 180 days had expired, and I needed to renew my visa. It's a little bit harder to do that down here these days. But the point is, it all went wrong. It went way wrong. And I got on the bus, and there's a little magical story. Sitting next to me, the whole ride back to Playa del Carmen was this old abuela, this grandmother. And she was just like this against the window. Super sweet, super quiet. And about 3/4 of the way, we were getting into Tulum, which is just an hour south of Playa del Carmen. We get into the bus stop there, and she gets out her iPhone, puts in her earphones, and I swear to God, starts rocking out to Mexican rock music, top of her voice. And then she finishes the song, puts her earphones away. I kid you not. I was like, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. But I didn't see it as that at the time. So I had the opportunity. I went over to Merida to do the ayahuasca. I had a very intense experience. I don't know if you've done ayahuasca plant medicines before. I had to do the purge. I had to go through the emotional. It brought up everything, fear, all of it. And I went through my ayahuasca journey, my first one. It was a 2-night weekend ceremony. And then when I got back to the hotel, the Airbnb I was staying at I was staying at a hostel. And in my room, because I had my dog with me, I had to have my own room. There was this picture of an abuela, a grandmother, she looked just the same. And me still being on the medicine, the picture started moving. And I was like, okay, dots connected, I got the sign. So that was kind of my introduction to sort of the ancestral medicine, and which is a big part of the culture down here. And it's not part of the culture that I think most people recognize, is that healing work, traditional ancestral stuff, it comes from the Mayans, it comes from the Aztecs. It's ingrained in the culture. And, oftentimes when you get sick down here, they're not going to say, oh, go to the doctor, go use your health insurance, right? They're going to say, here's this tea recipe. It's got curcuma, it's got cinnamon, it's got ginger, it's got garlic. My Spanish was kicking good. And I call it magic tea. And I learned this when I was at my ayahuasca ceremony, which is you make the tea mixture, and then you, before you even drink it, you basically pray and meditate to the tea. So in other words, you're verbally, energetically giving the tea your intention. And I don't know if you know the work of Dr. Masoto. I can't remember. He was the one where he talked to the water, and it changed the molecular structure, and it made the beautiful patterns.
Yeah.
Remember,
the
know
ice
his work?
crystals. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same kind of philosophy. So you talk to the water, you give it your intention, you cleansing the water with your intention, and then you meditate on it for about 3 minutes, and then you can drink it. And every time I've ever gotten sick, I make my magic tea, and it's just part of the culture down here.
Yeah.
So after I did the ayahuasca, I realized I have a deep respect for my ayahuasca shaman that I go to. His name is Oscar Valdez. He has the most amazing music. His medicine is incredible, and I trust him implicitly. And with a shaman, you have to feel trust. You have to, because they got to be able to guide you and hold space and bring you back, right? And I love his work. But the thing is that I wanted to try different things. And a friend of mine, the one who introduced me to the ayahuasca, contacted me one day. He said, hey, there's this woman here in Playa. Her name's Mariposa. She's gonna do a breathwork ceremony. I've already done one. You've got to come try this out. And so I went, and at this point, like especially living here in Mexico, like I'm Mexicano Gringo Loco now. Like I'm not afraid to try new things and look funny, silly doing it. And anybody who's going to be watching this is going to see that today, because what do I have to lose? If I don't get silly and goofy, I'm not going to let my energy out. And no one's going to really see who I really am. So I just got into this breathing, and I was just like breathing into it. And Matt, I got to tell you, my very first experience, I had this very emotional, traumatic feeling was coming up. And it was like, but it wasn't mine. It was very emotional. It was very visceral. It was mine, but it wasn't mine. And suddenly I had this vision of gay men dying of AIDS. And I felt all this pain, but I didn't feel their pain. I felt the pain of the community. You know as well as I do, part of our history in this gay community is that we, especially older men that survived the AIDS pandemic, sometimes carry the survivor's guilt, right? And all of that emotion. And I lived in Palm Springs before I came to Mexico. So I was around that older community, and I was informed by that. And it all came up, and it was just so emotional. It was just, finally, I had to raise my hand, and they came over. Because I couldn't, my breathing just suddenly became super shallow, and I was like, I was just hyperventilating. She calmed me down. Her sister did Reiki. They brought me down, and suddenly we did our last retention, which I'll explain in a second. And suddenly I had this vision of all these gay men. They were on the clouds having this tea dance. They were so joyful and so blissful and so happy. And one of them looked down, he connected with me. He said, Jason, we came to Earth in our time to have our experience to teach the world just a little bit more about love. And now we're here, we're celebrating. So you can let that go now. And suddenly I was just crying. And I was like, holy crap, if I can have this kind of experience like I did in ayahuasca, just breathing, sign me up, right? So I went to another breathwork ceremony with Mariposa, and then another one, and then she had a 3-day retreat that I went to. The story, the dialogue, all of it was connected. You know how it is. It's like it's all related, right? And it was profound. It was emotional. It was very sensual. Her medicine is very feminine energy. She works more with the divine feminine. And it was wonderful. My inner goddess wanted to just dance and sing. I was like, ah. And then COVID happened. Pinchy COVID. COVID happened, and I got hit hard by COVID emotionally, the depression, the anxiety. So all of that stuff that I had all that had done, I had to deal with it again. It's amazing about this process is you think you cleaned out some energy, and you're like, nope, there's still some shit down there, pardon my language, down there that needs to be brought up. And so here I am stuck in my house in Playa del Carmen with my dog, and I'm like, what am I going to do with my time? And I connected with her, except she was down in Guatemala, and she was gonna help me. She was gonna teach me her technique, Respira tu Amor. And then I got a call from her. She said, I'm going on a 3-week silent retreat. I went, huh, what? No, I need you. And she said, here's the link to SOMA Breath. Fortunately, at that time, I had a good job from my old career. And so I signed up to get SOMA Breath certification, which is what she got trained in. And it took me a little while to kind of get into it, but because I chose the self-study program. But what else was I going to do, right? So that was my lockdown project, was getting certified. And
How long did that take you?
Once I finally dove in, it took me about 2 weeks.
Cool.
I had another friend at the same time. He was in the same situation. The one who got me to the breath work originally and the ayahuasca, his name is Yurka. He decided to dive into it. So we kind of had a friendly brotherly competition, like who could get done first and certified. And we literally got certified the same weekend. Mine, I had to get certification in Spanish because my friend that was staying with me at the time, Colombian, didn't understand if I guided in English as well. So I had to actually record my certification video in Spanish. And so I do occasionally try to get over my fear of Spanish. I'm pretty good in the language and facilitate in both languages, which I'm supposed to do this week. But I think one of the things you said you wanted to talk about was the health benefits and the science behind breath work.
Yes.
And one of the things that I really love about SOMA Breath, and there's Wim Hof, there's Holiotropic, there's shamanic breath work, there's all these different techniques. First of all breath work, its origin comes from India. It's pranayama. It's rhythmic, deep breathing. And when you slow your breath, which I'm not doing in this exact moment, is when you slow your breath, and if we can regulate our breath where we're breathing slowly in through the nose, and you can do this with me while I'm explaining this. It's a good reminder for us to be present in our breath always. But when you do that slow breathing in through the nose, first of all, you're cleaning the oxygen on the way in. And if we can slow our breath on the inhale to the point where we're breathing 5 to 6 breaths a minute. So that's more like about 4 to 5 seconds in, almost 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out the mouth. Right. When you do that slow breathing, that has so much implication on your health, physical, emotion, and even spiritual. So for example, physically, you're bringing in all of that oxygen. And oftentimes we hear, for example, that of breast cancer, prostate cancer, all these cancers, right? And oftentimes what do the traditional doctor's solution is they just remove the body part. Not always. Sometimes they do certain treatments, such as what's the treatment for cancer?
Chemotherapy or radiation. Yeah.
Right. And I actually have a client who went through something like this. And she was looking for alternatives to complement, not to replace her work with her doctor. And I don't ever advise this as a replacement for any. If you are working or working with a doctor, continue what you do if you believe it's going to help you. But I also believe that on the cellular level, the cell needs oxygen, it needs food, and it needs a healthy environment. And when you slow down and you do deep breathing, just the act of being conscious and slowing down the breath, because you're consciously cleansing the breath through the nose and in the oxygen into the body, and then slowing down the breath, that moves you instantaneously within 3 minutes, moves you from fight or flight to rest and digest. Otherwise known as, it moves you from the sympathetic over to the parasympathetic nervous system. And the really cool thing about the human body is that it can only do one or two things. In other words, when you're in fight or flight, which also is kind of the abnormal beta brainwave state that we operate in daily. It's where we're kind of at. You and I are both there right now. We're always sort of in our awake state in the beta brainwave. But because of our ding, ding, ding technology and the craziness that is daily life, we're often like I'm doing because I'm nervous on a video call, right? Like I'm not super conscious of my breath because I'm trying to hold all this stuff in my head and share it with you. But when we become conscious of our breath and we slow down, it moves us into that parasympathetic, and that immediately, when we're in fight or flight, This is what I started to explain. The body is sending, or the brain is sending out chemicals to the body that is in protection, preservation, and defense mode, right? And it's such a subconscious thing that we're not even aware of some of the mechanics of what the body's doing. But when you slow down, when you get into that parasympathetic nervous system, that moves you into that rest and digest and that calm state. And that is when, especially you're going to experience this during the breath work today, that's when the magic happens. And it's a normal function of the body. When we get into the parasympathetic nervous system, we get into heart and mind coherence. Mm-hmm. And the heart has these, there's a word for it, brain-like cells in the heart. And the heart sends out a bigger vibration than the brain. Mm-hmm. And when it communicates, because most of the communication goes from the heart to the brain, when that happens, and those two things get into coherence, and the heart sending up those coherent signals to the brain switches over and it starts to release melatonin, serotonin, dopamine, and here's the real fun one, DMT. If you do rhythmic breathing, especially when you go into intermittent hypoxia, which is the exhale breath holds. In other words, you're releasing all of that oxygen out of the lungs. The limbic system part of the brain, this is the reptilian part of the brain, it's part of the brain saying, breathe, I'm dying, save me. No, you're fine, you've got oxygen in your blood and everything's fine. But when you do this breath work, when you do the rhythmic breathing, you're building up the energy. You're also bringing in all that oxygen, which is creating that clean environment for the cells. You're giving them oxygen. You're also kind of feeding them. The other part of this that we're not going to have enough time to talk about is food and diet. Guilty on not covering this one. I love my comfort food. But all of those things matter. And what's really cool about breath work, depending on the breathing technique, if you can get into that parasympathetic rest and digest calm state, there's a very specific breathing technique where you can do counts of 4 in on the inhale, 8 on the exhale. You do that without pause for about 3 minutes. That's a very, very easy way to go into meditation. It's also a very easy way just before bed. I have a question for you. Do you know the worst time of the day for you the worst time of the day for your breathing?
I'm going to say maybe morning?
A little earlier than that. It's while you're sleeping.
Oh, okay.
So that technique I just gave you, if you do that first thing in the morning, if you get up, do you do at all kind of in a gratitude ritual when you wake up in the morning?
Yeah.
So if you bring awareness to your breath during that, you regulate the breath. And you're literally telling the body, because you probably say this in your gratitude, I am going to have X kind of day. You set the tone for your day. When you do this with your breathing, first thing in the morning, you're telling the body, the subconscious part of the body as well, the subconscious part of the brain, the cellular part of the brain, how you want to start your day. So this is why I adopted this philosophy, and I believe in this so much, is I believe you are your own medicine. I believe you create your own reality. And you know what? You might as well freaking create a life you love.
Exactly.
So why not do that using what you have with you all the time? Right? Now, admittedly, as a breathwork facilitator, I am not teaching you anything you don't already know. I'm just teaching you what collectively as a humanity we forgot.
Yeah.
We've known this. Our ancestors have known this for thousands of years.
Yeah.
They also knew something really cool. Are you ready for this? You were asking about this, and then you mentioned it in the intro. This is connected to our sexual energy. In other words, it's connected to what you could call our creative life force energy. This has to do with the chakras. Now, depending on who you get breath work from. For example, when Dr. Joe Dispenza does breath work, you're very rarely going to hear him talk about the chakras. He'll say you're taking an electrical charge from your lower part of your body, and you're moving that electrical charge up the vagus nerve, and you want to basically hit these little crystals that are on the bottom of the pineal gland. And when that happens, that electrical charge, that pushes up there, and that's what releases the DMT. That's the science side of it. The woohoo saying is, so basically you're taking that creative life force energy, and I'll explain to you when we do the breathing technique how, but basically you're squeezing that energy up, you're moving it up through the chakras. First, you're grounded to the earth. That's why we start by setting an intention. You take that creative life force energy, your sexual energy, right? And if you're heterosexual and you're making a baby, for men, that energy when we ejaculate goes out, right? It's to create life. And as gay men, and usually as men, when we just want to masturbate, we want to release that energy, right? What's the feeling you have after you've done that?
Relaxed.
And?
Satisfied.
Yeah. And probably tired.
Yeah.
At least for a little bit.
Relaxed,
right?
and fatigued. Yeah, I kind of experienced those kind of similar. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you've had really, really good sex with a guy, like really good sex with a guy, one or both of you is like, I got to go to sleep. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
It's because literally out of the testicles, you just released all of that energy, and the body instantly whoosh, goes right in there, and it's like, okay, let's rebuild. It's got to rebuild that energy.
Yeah.
And so imagine if you develop, for example, an addiction to sex, and you're ejaculating constantly. There's no problem with that. By all means, enjoy your sexual life, all aspects of it. Incorporate your sexuality into your spirituality, please. That's wholeness. We're taught as gay men, you could be gay, but leave that part of you at the door. No. Integrate it all in, please. I don't have a problem with that. Ejaculate your heart out. The Egyptians believed that was a great way to release energy, negative energy. So I'm not big on holding ejaculation. That being said, if you separate the ejaculation from the orgasm, and this comes from a book called The Multi-Orgasmic Man, sitting on my mantle, that's why I looked over.
Yeah.
And I believe that's, Mantak Chia, great book. I might put that in the liner notes later. I'll send you the link.
Okay.
When you separate the ejaculation from the orgasm, and you do rhythmic breathing, and you do what's called a Mula Bandha lock, and all this is just an energy lock. And you can do this, you can try this right now. It's super easy. Just imagine you have to go to the bathroom, but there's no bathroom in your house for miles. So you just like squeeze, you're like, I gotta go. That's a Mula Bandha lock. That's it. You're squeezing your genitals, you're squeezing your sphincter, your perineum. You're like, I gotta go to the bathroom, but you can't go. That's it. That's all you're doing. Super easy. That's a Mula Bandha lock. It's one of the 3 primary energy locks. Can never remember the other 2. Forget what the second one, the third one's in the throat. I'll get to that in a second. But when you do that Mula Bandha lock, you do it during the inhale. You're basically pumping up, you're squeezing up that electrical energy, you're moving that electrical charge up the vagus nerve. And so if you're not creating life and you don't ejaculate and you hold that energy in, you're creating something. So why not create something you want? Maybe something you want to release, something you want to heal, something you want to manifest.
Yeah.
And so you move that energy up through the chakras, up the vagus nerve, up the spine, into the heart center. Heart center is our area of love and compassion. It's also our area of perseverance. Well, I mean, it's what part of the body this part of the body sustains us, right? It's our lungs and our heart. They operate 24/7, always keeping us going. The heart's pumping blood through the system, and the lungs keeping us breathing, whether we are conscious of it or not. The whole system is always operating, right? And then you move that energy up here, and that's when we move it through the throat. This is our area of communication, which is connected to the ears and the voice. It's the Madana part of the chakras. Express yourself. right? So when we work on that chakra, that's when we get more confident, more powerful. And then you move it into the midbrain, the third eye, the pineal gland, right? And that's the part of the brain where our intellect is, our ability to take the critical and the artistic and interweave, and that creates then the whole brain coherence. The brain becomes more coherent. And then finally, when we move that energy all the way to the top, well, before I leave the pineal gland, of course, this is the seat of the soul. So this is where we start to have, especially when we release things like the healing chemicals, including the DMT. It's when you're doing that breath hold and you're pulling that energy up and it goes into the third eye, that's when you can have a blissful experience. In fact, when you have an orgasm, and usually during really good sex, what do we always say? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. There's a reason for that, because we're literally connecting to divine, the divine within you. And the woohoo part of me believes that God dwells in you as you. Water's just water. God, universe, doesn't matter what you want to call it, right? So then you connect that energy to the crown, which connects it to the source, true source, divine source. Source in you, of you, as above, so below, as within, so without. And this is where the law of oneness becomes in. And it's through this kind of work, especially with discipline, not discipline, but devotion, and really committed to this work, and you keep doing it, it's much, much easier to get into that flow state, that loving state, that oneness harmony, because you're constantly keeping the body in that coherent parasympathetic nervous system. So that's a very long explanation of the science, the woohoo, and the sexual energy. But the Montauk Chia part, the multi-orgasmic part of this, before I forget, is that when you do this, what's possible is that if you hold that energy in and you use with intention that sexual energy, it is possible to have multiple orgasms, even as men, and full body orgasms.
I want that.
Pretty awesome. Now, I will tell you, as men, it's a little more difficult for us. And there's a reason for that, because we have been culturally conditioned for thousands of years to stimulate one part of the body for sexual pleasure, which is the tip of the penis.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, multi-orgasmic man's an excellent reference on this. The entire penis is a sexual organ. The entire body is a sexual organ. And, you know, I don't know about you, but when I'm in the right position or the right situation, and I'm just being caressed and touched on the arm, certain parts of my body, oh my God, you can take me places and you never even got near my penis, right? The whole body. So this is a great way to really connect with the whole body. That as men, we're not taught how to do this. So admittedly, through my own experimenting and practicing, when I learned and I connected the dots, I was like, oh my God. Because I was like, oh yeah, I remember that one time when I was having sex with that guy and I was holding my breath. I don't know what I was doing. I was in my 20s, but I really knew I enjoyed holding my breath. And, you know, and there's that moment when you get right there. It's like, if you keep going, there's no coming back.
Yeah.
It's going. You're going to ejaculate. So this is where a book like Multi-Orgasmic Man helps, because he really explains really great techniques on how to pleasure and stimulate yourself and learn to control, different ways to control, so that when you start to get to orgasm, you know to hold back. And it does take practice, right? So what we're exploring today is really only the tip of the iceberg, no pun intended. But excuse me. But also what I've learned is that when you do this, you do the rhythmic breathing and then you do the breath retention. It's possible that you could get an erection, you can get aroused, you can get stimulated. But especially if you haven't been doing this, you're like trying to do the breathing, you're trying to follow along, you're trying to do the breath retentions, you're trying to overcome your fear with them. It's a bit much to try to stimulate during. I've noticed, and for the guys that are watching this later, is, after you've done this journey, then try to stimulate yourself at the end without having an ejaculation, and just see how long you can stay in that blissful state. And the longer that you can sustain that, then you're kind of just holding on to that ride, and you get into that. The body starts to have that orgasmic sensation. Mm. So it is quite magical. And if you're doing it with a partner, it can be a lot of fun. It's a great way, especially if you're using eye gazing, which is that great deep soul connecting technique. It's a really great way to develop deeper intimacy, to deeper connection, and just becoming more conscious of. And this is something I think as a lot of men is that, to really be present of our partner's experience, not just our own, but to be connected. And there's breathing techniques that you can do where you cycle the energy between this way and that way. So this direction is the masculine energy, this way is the feminine. There's all kinds of techniques, which is a bit much for today. But did I cover that well enough?
Yeah. I feel like we covered kind of the health, the science, the sexual benefits, the peak performance. Is there anything that you feel you want to touch on in that, or is that kind of, you feel you've covered it?
I would say on peak performance, one of the really great things about breath work and the health benefits, that, everything from, if you want to improve your performance at the gym, becoming more conscious of your breath, same thing in yoga, also in the bedroom, the more present and conscious you are of the breath, more control of your breath, the benefits just they go across the board. I've even heard I've heard it said that if you bring enough oxygen in the breath into the system, you can reverse gray hair. I don't know if it's true yet, but also it's possible to extend life. And there's one more thing about all this: you can manifest healing in the body like that. Now, have I seen it firsthand, witnessed it? No, I haven't. But here's what's happening, is that when you go into that exhale retention and you hold your breath on that exhale, you're triggering the part of the brain that's saying, breathe, breathe, breathe. You're telling the stem cells in the body. So the stem cells are the cells in the body that heal. And most of us, they're often dormant in, for example, the bone marrow and parts of the body. This triggers them. So if your intention is physical healing, let's say you've scratched and you've cut, you fall down, you hurt your knee, and you have an injury. If you were to do breath work and set your intention on that wound, you could literally squeeze your knee while you're doing the retention. And you're consciously telling, the conscious brain's telling the subconscious and the body, put all the energy there. So you're directing the body where to move that energy. And also where to send those stem cells. So when I say peak performance, you could improve your workout at the gym. If it's pec day, you focus your energy, into your pectorals, and you're doing conscious deep breathing. If you've done that, you're literally the mind is telling the body where to send the energy. And anybody who works out in the gym knows this, because it's pec day. So where do you focus your energy? And so you build up the muscle. It's the same idea.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I like that. Great.
Shall we? Are you ready?
Yeah, you're gonna teach us the technique first.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
So, for everybody who's watching, and I'm going to share this with you, do this in a place where you won't be disturbed for about an hour, and wear something comfortable. Yoga style clothes is great. If you're home alone, do this nude. No one's watching. Oh, maybe somebody is. Anyway.
One thing I want to say, just sorry to interrupt,
Yes.
is make sure that you're tending to people who are listening and watching, because a lot of our viewers are listeners. They just listen on the podcast. So make sure that if you're like just pointing at something, you bring voice to that as well, so people know what you're. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
You bet.
So make yourself comfortable in your space for about an hour where you won't be disturbed. And it's very important that you feel safe, because when you do this work, it's possible that you can trigger emotional, physical, and spiritual blockages, energies, traumas, all that stuff can come up. And so you need to feel safe. It's really, really important. Now, when you're doing breath work, you may feel, especially during the intermittent hypoxia, the exhale retention, you may feel cramping in your hands, in your feet. You may feel tingling throughout the body. You may even have an orgasmic sensation. And I'll tell you, when you're in a group breathwork setting and someone next to you is having a really good time, it's all normal. In fact, that's part of the healing. So make sure that you're in a safe space. Also, if you haven't eaten the 2 hours before, you're going to get the most out of the medicine, because if you're still digesting, the body's using that energy somewhere else. Okay? Now, when we do this, first, let's focus on the breath. Matt, you ready to get started?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I mute
you can
myself?
Do this. Huh?
No? Should I mute myself now?
Not quite yet,
Okay.
because you might have questions.
Okay.
So when you do this, you can either do it sitting or laying down. My personal preference is to lay down. I also invite you to just allow yourself to breathe with the full body, and give yourself permission to go a little outside of your comfort zone. Okay?
Okay.
When you breathe, try to always breathe in through the nose, fully into the nose, 30% into the belly, bringing the belly out as you breathe in. Put your left hand on your belly, right hand on your chest. Breathe fully into the belly, bring the belly out like a balloon. And then exhaling out your mouth. And as you exhale, bring your belly in, pulling the belly button back. Okay, so let's do this just a couple rounds. In, fully into the belly, exhale out your mouth. Fully in, fully out. Fully in, belly out like a baby. Babies don't have six-pack abs, just let it go, and back in. Now, put your hands on your ribs like an accordion. This one's a little hard one for me, so for those of you who can't see, let's see, I'm right here like this. Can you see, Matt?
Yep.
When you breathe in, expand out like an accordion. This is 60% of the breath is into the lungs, and then exhaling, contracting back in. Out, in, out. One more, in, out. Okay, put your hands on your shoulders. This is the third part. This is the part we do all the time. This is a shallow breathing. You can just do this through the nose. It's like this. Super easy. Okay, now we're going to bring it all together, and we're going to add another layer called toning. Toning is when you use your voice. And what you're doing when you're using the voice is you're literally giving vibration. Everything is energy, everything is vibration. You're using your body to tone and vibrate anything out. And going back to the sexual experience, when we're having really good sex and we're breathing, what are we doing? We're We're not even conscious we're doing it. And sex is probably one of the most healing activities that the body can experience. So when you breathe, you're going to breathe what's called a full yogi breath, fully into the belly, into the chest and the shoulders. So you can do this with me. Just take a full breath in, 30% into the belly, 60% expanding the chest, bringing back the shoulders, and exhaling, contract. In and out. Now, yoga teachers will tell you keep your spine straight as you're doing this. So breathe in and then out. In, out. In, 30%, 60%, 10%, and exhale. Now I'm going to be honest with you. When you're doing the rhythmic breathing, especially the first time, and the breath retentions, it's a lot to hold on to. Just breathe whatever feels comfortable. Take the parts that work and leave the rest behind until you get used to it. Because the more you do this, the more you get used to it. You start experimenting. You start breathing with your whole body. You start rolling your hips like you're having sex. Like, it's like, Jesus, get into this. Because you just got to get comfortable with it. So the most important thing is breathing fully into the belly, into the chest, into the shoulders, exhaling out your mouth with the sigh. Fully in. This is called a cleansing breath. Fully out. Let's do one more. Fully out. Okay. So we're going to do 4 rounds of rhythmic breathing today in counts of 4 in, 4 out, 3 in, 3 out, 2 in, 2 out, 1 in, 1 out. And I'll guide you through the whole thing, and just do the best you can to focus on your breath, okay? And then when we finish the rhythmic breathing, each round is going to be about 5 minutes. I'm going to tell you to take a full breath in, and you're going to squeeze the Mula Bandha, which is squeezing your genitals like you got to go to the bathroom. You're going to breathe fully into the belly as much as you can. And then I'm going to say, exhale. And you can use a hiss like this. And when there's no more hiss, there's no more oxygen in the lungs, okay? So you're going to hold on that exhale. That's the intermittent hypoxia. That is when the magic begins, okay? So you're going to hold on that. You're going to try to go out of your comfort zone, otherwise known as diving into your bliss. If you're comfortable with deep breathing, usually only scuba divers are good at this at the beginning. If you can hold, we're going to do retention for about 1 minute to 1.5 minutes today. And if you get that urge to breathe, but try to override the limbic system. Try to override the brain. You can wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. You can count anything you can to go out of your comfort zone and hold on that exhale, okay? And then after about 1.5 minutes, I'm going to say, take a full breath in, fully into the belly, into the chest, into the shoulders, and then you're going to hold on the inhale, squeezing the Mula Bandha, and you can just squeeze your genitals. You can squeeze your stomach, you can squeeze your heart, you can squeeze the energy all the way, but most important, just squeeze your genitals, your sex. Move up that creative energy, okay? And we'll do that for about 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. And then I'll have you just return to a normal breath and get ready for the next round. We'll do that for 4 rounds, and then I'll take you into a meditation. And in that meditation, I have music, but it's about 9 or 10 minutes for you to really go inward and process what just happened. And like I said, it's possible during this experience, something emotional can come up, physical come up. It's also possible you could just feel your bliss and just have a good time. So there's no expectation here. Not from me, don't put anything on yourself. Just allow into this, because every time you do this experience, just like anything else, it will be different every single time. Okay? Matt, do you have any questions?
No, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So make yourself comfortable. Close your eyes. Start to bring awareness to your breath, breathing fully into the belly, into the chest, into the shoulders, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Keeping your awareness on your breath. And I invite you now to set your intention. Your intention can be anything you like. It can be physical, emotional, spiritual. Matt, when you have your intention, just raise your hand. And that'll be my cue for us to get started. Excellent. Okay. You can hear the music okay? Bring your awareness to your breath, in through the nose, fully into the belly, into the chest, into the shoulders. Exhaling out the mouth with a sigh. Use some toning. Fully in, slowing down your breath, exhaling out your mouth. Ready to breathe in rhythm. Fully in, fully out. Fully in, fully out. Excellent. Fully in, fully out. Get ready to breathe in beats. Fully in, fully out. In, out. Good. Keep your awareness and presence on your body and on your breath. Here we go. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, belly, chest, and shoulders. Exhale out with a sigh. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Totally normal to yawn. Keep on breathing. You're doing great. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In through the nose, belly, chest, and shoulders. Exhaling out with a sigh. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, full belly breath. Exhale and relax. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In through the nose, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. In, full belly, chest, and shoulders. Exhale out with a sigh. In, you're safe. You've got this. Keep on going. Exhale and relax. Connect with your soul and yourself. Keep on breathing. You're doing great. Out, 2, 3. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. In, surrendering to the bliss, surrendering to your breath. Just allow, don't resist any of it. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. 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 Good, doing great. Keep on going. Out, 2, 3. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. In, surrender, let go of whatever the brain's trying to resist. Just breathe and flow with the breath. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. In, 2. Out, 2. In, 2. Out, 2. In, 2. out, 2. In, 2, 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 out, 2. In, out, just your mouth. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Push yourself, keep on going. You've got this. You are so safe. Just let go and surrender. You've got this. In, out, keep on going. Just dive into your bliss. Out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Get ready. Here we go. We're going to go into our first retention. Push yourself. Here we go. In, out, in, hold, squeeze the Mula Bandha, and exhale. Go into your exhale retention. Hold your breath on this exhale. You are safe. You've got this. You're a divine being having a human experience. Just allow and surrender. Hold on this exhale. If you get that first urge to breathe, remember, just take a little breath in and blow it back out. Hold your breath. Keep on holding just a little longer. You've got this. Holding a little bit more. Keep holding, hold. Surrender into this. You've got it. Now, full breath in, fully into the belly, into the chest, into the shoulders. Squeeze your genitals, squeeze your sphincter, your perineum. Pull the Mula Bandha energy up. Hold your breath on this inhale. If you can, breathe a little bit more into the belly, but keep on holding. Just hold on this inhale. When the magic happens, pulling up that creative life force energy, bringing it up into the heart, giving your intention love, compassion, your bliss through this life. This is your SOMA, your vehicle. You've got this. You are so safe. Keep on holding. Hold your breath. Any thoughts that come up, pay attention. Master your breath, you master your life, but hold on this inhale. And exhale. Get ready to breathe in rhythm. I invite you to dive a little deeper this time, go a little further out of your comfort zone. Here we go, we're going to go into our next round of rhythmic beats. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In through the nose. Out with your sigh. In fully into the belly, chest and shoulders. Exhale and relax. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. 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 In, full belly, chest and shoulders. Exhale and relax. In, full through the nose. Deep breath. Exhale with a sigh. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. 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 In, breathing with the full body. Exhale and relax. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. In, keep on going. You've got this. You are safe. Surrender. Relax into this. You've got it. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. 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 In, full belly, chest and shoulders. Exhale out with your mouth and a sigh. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. In, 2. Out, 2. 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 In, out. In, out. Just your mouth now. In, out. In, out. In, out. Push yourself. Keep on going. You've got this. You are so safe. You are a divine being. You deserve to have the most blissful, enjoyable life. So breathe into this and just let it all go. Out. In. 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 Out. Get ready. Here we go. We're going to go into our breath retention. In. Out. Full breath in. Hold. Squeeze the Mula Bandha. And exhale. Go into your exhale retention. Hold your breath. that urge to breathe, just take a little breath in, blow it back out. You are safe. You've got this. Any thoughts that come up now, pay attention. They are important. Full breath in, into the belly, into the chest, into the shoulders. Hold your breath on the inhale. Squeeze the Mula Bandha. Pull up that creative life force. Feel the bliss. Feel your medicine. Feel your magic. You have got this. Hold your breath on the inhale. Got this. Squeeze the Mula Bandha. Pull up that sexual energy, that creative life force. Move it right up through the heart, into the throat, into your midbrain. Connect to source. Connect to your divine. And exhale it all out. Just relax. Get ready for our next round of rhythmic beats. Go a little bit deeper this time. We're going to add a new layer to this. Just follow with my voice. 1, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3. Squeeze. Exhale and relax. In, 2, 3. Squeeze Mula Bandha. Exhale and relax. In, 2, 3. Squeeze. Exhale and relax. In. Out. In, 2, 3, 4. Out. In, 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3. Squeeze. Exhale and relax. In, 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3. Squeeze. Exhale and relax. In, 2, 3. Squeeze. Exhale. In, 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3. Squeeze. Exhale. 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3. Out. 2, 3. In, 2. Squeeze. Exhale with a sigh. In, 2, 3. Out. 2, 3. In, 2, 3. Out. 2, 3. In, 2, 3. Out. 2, 3. In through the nose. Out with the mouth. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. 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 In, this is your own pharmacy. You've got this. This is your medicine, your chemistry from within. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. Surrender and let go. Allow whatever wants to be moved through the body. You've got this. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. 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 In, 2. Out, 2. In, 2. Out, 2. In, out. 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 Just your mouth. In, out. 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 You've got this. Keep on going. Breathe into this. Allow yourself to experience all of it. Just let everything go. In, out. Get ready. Here we go. We're going to go into our breath retention. Out, in, out, and in. Hold, squeeze, and exhale. Go into your exhale retention. Hold your breath. Full breath. Here we go. Fully into the belly, into the chest, into the shoulders. Squeeze, hold. Hold your breath on this inhale. And exhale it out. Ah, good, you're doing great. Here we go. We're going to go into our last round. Enjoy this. Feel into it. Here we go. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. 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 In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. In, out. 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 In, keep on going, full belly, chest, and shoulders, exhaling with the mouth. In, out. In, full through the nose, exhale out the mouth. You've got this, you're doing great, keep on going. Out, 2, 3. In, 3. Out, 2, 3. In, out. In, out. In, out. Got this, you're doing great. You are safe, surrender into this, keep on going. In, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Good. In, 2, out, 2. 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 In, 2, in, out. Just your mouth. In, out. 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 Keep on going. You've got this. You are safe. Surrender into the breath. Keep on breathing. Keep on going. In, out, in, out. Get ready. We're going to go into our last retention. Here we go. Out. Full breath in. Hold. Squeeze. And exhale. Go into your exhale retention. Hold your breath. Laying down, with your eyes closed, I invite you to slowly roll into a fetal position on your right side. Just roll and curl up into a ball. If you're seated, just remain seated, keeping your eyes closed. Maybe drop your chin down to your chest. Just keep your awareness on your body. Begin to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. And I invite you to give yourself a hug. Whatever that means, however that feels, just wrap your arms around your body. Just give yourself gratitude. Gratitude for this, your SOMA vehicle. Now I want you to rub your hands together. Start to create some friction, some heat. So in fact, you are your own Reiki master. And the hands are an extension of the heart. So just put your hands on your body, anywhere that you feel needs a little extra love, a little extra TLC. If you're laying down, I invite you to very easily bring yourself into a seated position with your eyes closed. When you're ready, rub your hands together again. Some heat, some friction going. I want you to place the palm of your hands over your eyes, dropping your chin to your chest. And slowly drop your hands into your lap. And as you open your eyes, just observe the first thing you see. Your body, yourself, your SOMA. And welcome back. Aho. Matt, would you like to share?
Wow. That was really, really cool. Thank you. I just want to first off just offer you gratitude because that was a really beautiful, well-crafted, yeah, you took me on a really beautiful journey. So I'm almost feeling a little bit like floaty. So yeah, geez, my experience was right off the bat, I started to meet my perfectionist mind, which was like, oh, I got to get it right. Am I getting it on the right counts? Am I squeezing my genitals hard enough? And it was like all this like inner, judgment. My mind was just going active, and my mind did not want to engage in it in any way, shape, or form. But my body was like, this is so good. Keep going. So I just noticed that dualistic experience that I was having, and a lot of resistance in my body. Like I felt it in my body, but I think it was coming from my mind. And it was like just this angst of not wanting to be still. And then it turned into anger. There was a lot of anger, and I felt like screaming actually a couple of times. I didn't, but I felt like screaming. And then when I felt that urge, I breathed out louder instead of screaming. I got like swirling energy in my body. Like it just kind of felt like there was like energy swirling. I felt lightheaded at times when we were holding our breath. There was a sensation that I had around like, because I'm claustrophobic. And when I get claustrophobic, I get like, it feels like someone's sitting on my chest. And I felt that at times too. And it was almost like just a opportunity for me just to surrender to the sensations. And surprisingly, my mind didn't come in too much. It did, but it didn't come in as much as I thought it would have. I was able to settle in quite nicely, but the music was really beautiful. That helped a lot. It kind of put me in this like trance. Yeah, all in all, just a really great experience. I'm going to be using this probably daily now. I'll keep it on my, open on my podcast app, so that way I can do it in the morning, I think, or at night, and just kind of really start connecting with my breath, because I know there's a lot there for me to do in this space. So thank you so much. Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple things that are important. Drink lots of water today. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is be extra, especially you, because I know you're a sensitive, be very gentle on yourself today. Mm-hmm. There is a lot going on inside right now. Literally, those stem cells are moving. There's healing that's happening actively in the body. So just be a little more aware, a little more kind and gentle with yourself. For those of you who are watching, I suggest, I don't know, Matt, your preference, but try not to drink any alcohol for about the next 6 hours at least. Yeah. And just really be present with yourself. Mm-hmm. Also, tonight, before you go to bed, it doesn't hurt to write anything up, just like ancestral medicine. This medicine is meant to be the activator. It's you integrating your experience afterwards. So, things that may have come up during this without answer may resolve themselves later. So just be present and conscious. And then, Matt, I forgot to mention a health disclaimer at the beginning, which I'm going to send to you. Can you please put it in the notes? Which is, if you have any problems with deep breathing, I should have said this at the beginning. If you have any problems, lung problems or heart rhythmia problems, anything like that, when you do the breath retentions, you just breathe normal, okay? Great. So put that in the liner notes. I'll send it to you afterwards.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great. Well, thank you so much. And I want to give you a little bit of airtime to be able to promote what you're doing, because I believe so strongly in what you're doing. I believe you hold a key to elevating the consciousness and the healing of our community. And I really, really want people to reach out and access your services. So can you give us a little bit of a rundown on all that? Where can we find you? Do you have any offers, promotions going on right now that people can, courses, events, anything? Just load us up.
I do. In fact, I have something that I have to be honest was initially created in part because I was inspired by the Gay Men's Brotherhood. Also, as a gay man, it's important for me to share this information with our community. I recognize that we have sex addiction, alcohol, drug addiction. All of those things exist in our community. And yes, our heterosexual counterparts, we're all human. We all go through this stuff. Unfortunately, in our community, we're a little more susceptible to this, and it's part of the coming out process. It's part of becoming self-aware and integrating wholeness into our life. So I actually created, over the last 2 years, 3 breathwork meditations, very similar to this, on 3 different intentions. One is on gay men's health and wellness. The other one is on gay men's self-care. And the final one is called sacred sexuality, or sacred sexual energy. I put all that together. It's called the Gay Men's Tantra Breathwork. And I want to preface that as a spiritual person, I have complete understanding that Tantra is a full lifestyle. It's not just what we have in Western culture deemed the juicy part, right? It is juicy, yes, and it is important. Our sexuality and sexual energy is super important. Tantra is a whole lifestyle thing, and this really applies more to that tantric thinking. So it's called the Gay Men's Tantric Breathwork. I put the link in the notes for you. I've also created a discount specifically for the Gay Men's Brotherhood. I think it's 10% off for the package and the link, and I believe that offer is good through the end of the month. I am Jason Samadhi. It's samadhibreath.com. I also have one-on-one personal sessions that I offer both online via Zoom, or if you happen to be in Puerto Vallarta, and please, by all means, come and visit me. I would love it. But I do offer in-person sessions. And then finally, once a month, I give a 2-hour breathwork ceremony here at a place called Terra Noble. And I have my next one well, by the time this podcast comes out, it will already have passed, but I usually do once a month, and that's about a 2-hour ceremony, very similar to what we did today, but it's in a group setting. And the group environment experience, we have that collective energy, and you kind of feed off the group. So. But again, I want to emphasize one more important thing that I said earlier. Drink lots of water. Get just lots of self-care today, because there's a lot going on inside, especially you right now.
Yeah, I almost feel high.
Good.
Yeah. Yay, you've done your job. Matt's high.
That's the thing, though. I want to say this is I wish I could communicate this better to people, is that, yeah, by all means, if you like to go do the party and you like the fiesta and those artificial highs, do your thing. Not mine, not my preference. But this is a high, isn't it not?
Yeah, I feel really good.
Yeah, and it comes from within.
Yeah.
It's your medicine. I just guided you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the journey. Everything he just said is going to be in the show notes. I'll make sure all the links are there. And I'm going to be purchasing this combo pack, and I'm excited to get started. So yeehaw, let's do this.
Excellent.
All right. Thanks again for taking the time to come in and teach us this.
Wait a minute. Yeah. Don't go just yet. You have to stand up. There's one more thing.
Okay. You have to stand up?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
We both do. And then you can end this whenever you want, but it's kind of important. So, Matt, here's the thing, is you just got a whole lot of Gringo Loco Jason energy. I just got some Matt energy, which is wonderful energy. Yeah. But you got to get back into your own. So just shake a little. Shake. And let it all out. That's it. That's all I got for you.
Beauty. I was going to do that when I got up anyway. So thank you.
You're welcome, my love.
All right. Much love, brother.
Much love.